What the shuck is up, y'all? Welcome back to the WDN4L podcast. That's the Who Dat Nation for Life podcast. I am your host, Clay Johnson. You can follow me on Twitter at ClayJ2K. You can follow me on TikTok at ClayJ2K540. And you can follow the show itself on Twitter at WDN4L_pod. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube at the same, at WDN4L_pod. If you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, leave a comment. It's free and it helps the algorithm, and that goes a long way. But if anything, just comment shit. I don't care. Say I'm dumb. I don't know. Whatever. We got a great show for y'all. It's training camp. We made it. We have made it. It is training camp. I'm seeing training camp videos all over my timeline. I'm seeing freaking stuff about the gold jerseys that dropped. I was completely right, by the way. We need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge that I was right about the helmet design and the fact that they're probably going to drop gold jerseys, and the fact that the black helmets would go with the gold jerseys as long as you're wearing black pants. That's what I said. I literally said that. So yeah, there's that. We absolutely need to talk about the fact that Tyrann Mathieu just completely surprised everyone and retired. Maybe it wasn't like a super surprise to some people, though, and we'll get into that. Jimmy Graham also retired. So, of course, Cam Jordan's been getting asked a bunch of questions about retirement, and he said he's not going anywhere. So we'll go ahead and get into the show because we got a lot to talk about. So we're going to start with the Tyrann Mathieu retirement.
Yeah, we had a little advance notice on that, so it wasn't like we were surprised today. I'm a little surprised, but we had some advance notice, and just have so much respect for Tyrann and what he's accomplished. And I mean, he's a legendary Louisiana player, legendary NFL player. Really appreciate his time with us. He was fantastic, and I don't have enough good things to say about him. I have a lot of good things to say about him. What a great career. And
I think if you grew up when I grew up, watching football, I think everyone, Tyrann Mathieu is probably one of your favorite players. Just in general, he was like, I don't even like LSU because I'm an Ole Miss fan. We have a rivalry with y'all because I'm sure some of y'all watching this are LSU fans since you're Saints fans. But Tyrann Mathieu transcends that. Like, he was one of the best college football players of all time, without a doubt. Punt return, kick return, defense, all of that. He was making highlights every week. I'm sure y'all don't even need to go watch highlights. I'm sure you can just think them in your head of against Oregon, against Bama, just stuff like that. The pick that he had against Florida, like I can think them just in my head without watching anything. He was iconic to college football. And not only that, he was iconic to the Louisiana area in general. He obviously went to high school there, because he's from there. So he went to high school there. He went to LSU. And while he did get drafted to the Cardinals and played for the Texans and the Chiefs, he came back to New Orleans to play for the Saints because he said that's one of the things he wanted to do. I'm not entirely sure that he's going to retire as a Saint like Jimmy Graham is. However, he did finish his career with the Saints. And what a fucking career it was. What a fucking career it was. Let's talk about the stats real quick. In his NFL career alone, I love that a McDonald's ad is popping up while I'm trying to do this. In his NFL career alone, he had 837 total tackles, 11 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 7 recovered fumbles, 36 interceptions, for a total of 530 return yards on those, 4 touchdowns, 100 pass deflections, among other things. Tyrann Mathieu is he is a Hall of Famer for sure. He is one of the best safeties to play in the NFL. And all that after being told that he was not good enough. He was a 5'9", 190-pound safety that only missed 12 games, or maybe it was 16 games in a 12-year career. He only missed 16 games. That is a warrior, okay? Fuck, Marcus Davenport missed 16 games in the first 2 years of being drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. I'm sorry that I haven't even referred to him as that yet. So iconic. He had the mohawk that was dyed blonde and shit. Like, he was the one that, like, there were people on my football team that would be wearing the sweatbands all the way up their arm and shit, like he did in college. One of the pioneers to wear number 7 at LSU. LSU fans know what that number means to that team. Just absolute incredible career, incredible person. He overcame a lot. He had off the field issues, which is what made him slide into the 3rd round when he got drafted by the Cardinals. And he completely turned that around and ended up being one of the better veteran presences in any locker room that he had ever been in. Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs, obviously. I believe he won 2. I could be wrong. It could only be 1. But he's going to go down as one of the greats. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where does that leave the Saints, though? Let's transition into that. Where does that leave the Saints? Real quick, I do want to say I'd sort of be lying, just a tad, if I said that I didn't somewhat see this coming. Maybe not this season. Maybe I thought he had one more season left in him, but I really did see this coming. I don't know what sort of podcast y'all listen to. If you listen to Locked On Saints with Ross Jackson, or Inside Black and Gold with Jeff Nowak, or NOF.football with Nick Underhill, obviously those are my big 3. I listen to Saints Happy Hour as well, but they don't really do breaking news and shit. Anyway, those big 3, if you listen to those, you at least through one of them would have heard, he restructured his contract. And a lot of times with Saints players, this isn't always the case, obviously, but I'm saying, like, Malcolm Jenkins, right before he retired, restructured his contract. It's one of those things, like, his wasn't as apparent as other ones. Like, I think Malcolm Jenkins made his deal like only $1 million or something. You know what I'm saying? That made it very apparent that he was retiring. But they did restructure his contract, and they made his contract very incentive based. And I had heard reports that he was playing with the second team in minicamp last year. Now, like, I cannot stress enough, I am not trying to be disrespectful in the slightest. He is one of the best, right? Okay, so, like, please let me stress that. There will be no other Honey Badger. That is Tyrann Mathieu. Last year, he showed his age a tad, and I know if you're trying not to look at it with rose-colored lenses and shit, like, last year he showed his age a tad. He did. He was still getting interceptions. Don't get me wrong. He is, when it comes to instincts and ball hawking ability, like, one of the best ever, probably. So he was still getting the interceptions and shit, but there was just a couple times in, like, run defense, like, he really looked slow, and he was just showing his age. It was hard to witness him miss tackles and shit, because you're like, yo, that's not like him. He was starting to get injured a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but he did miss a couple games. So you add that in with the fact that they signed Justin Reed, who is basically like a 1-for-1 replacement to Tyrann Mathieu. Not necessarily as much of a ball hawk, but, like, you get my point. They drafted Jonas Sanker, who can really play in the box, and I think his coverage ability in general is a little bit underrated. Then you add in the fact that they have had Jordan Howden on the roster for a little bit, who had been getting taught under Tyrann Mathieu. I just, like, obviously none of those guys are a one-for-one straight up replacement. Like, you're not going to be able to completely replace him. If anyone would, it would be Justin Reed. But um, I mean, I know y'all heard in my episode after the draft, I literally said that I could see Jonas Sanker taking snaps away from Tyrann Mathieu. He is like this athletic box safety that, like I said, underrated in coverage and just mean when it comes to tackling. Like, he is a very secure tackler. The writing was somewhat on the wall. You just had to look for the context clues. But, and they also, so with him retiring, they just signed Julian Blackmon. He was a safety for the Colts. He's only 26, so that's great. He still has a lot to prove. He was by no means like really like super good. I mean, if you go watch the Saints against the Colts in 2023, you're probably not going to be too excited about this Blackmon signing. But if you watch that game with the Rashid Shaheed upside, I mean, shit, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so they did sign Julian Blackmon, and that's good. I mean, they signed Terrell Burgess in the offseason. I've heard, that he's actually like doing pretty well and he's probably going to make the roster. He is sort of like Ugo Amadi, but probably better. We'll see. I think Ugo is just a tad bit underrated, just a tad. But we got a lot going on in the DB room. We do, because they can still sign Asante Samuel Jr., which has nothing to do with Tyrann Mathieu. So let me get back to that. He, like I said, one of the best ever. We're gonna miss him, obviously, and I wish nothing but the best for him in just any endeavor that he has in the future. But this is sort of the direction that the Saints are going now. I mean, like, if Demario Davis retires next offseason, would you really be that surprised? If Cam Jordan retires next offseason, would you really be that surprised? So we're sort of heading in that direction. We are getting younger. We're getting younger, and that is no disrespect towards the older players on the team. It's just what's happening, and it's necessary. It is, in order to actually start getting better. All right, so I told y'all in the last episode, which, by the way, I still have not uploaded to YouTube, but I will, I guess. I don't know. I've just been kind of lazy about it, if I'm being completely honest. But I did, if you heard, I did tell y'all in the last episode that I would actually be talking about Tyler Shough this episode, not Spencer Rattler. Believe it or not, it's okay for me to talk about Tyler Shough. And if I'm being completely honest, the more and more that I see Tyler Shough content, the more and more I like the guy. I'm not gonna lie. The more and more I like the kid. I do. Especially his interviews and shit. Like, I don't know if he's just naturally this charismatic or if he has a really good PR team, but he says all the right shit. And I'm going to put a couple clips from the St. Brown podcast with Amon Ra and Equanimous. Fuck Equanimous, by the way. He's dumb. You'll see what I'm talking about if you didn't already know. Equanimous shit on New Orleans, like, as a city when it comes to food. He said the food is mid. And Tyler Shough had a perfect response to it. And if we're being completely honest, Equanimous was ass anyway. So that's also why he's not on the team anymore. And then I got a clip from the John Gruden. I don't know what he calls it anymore. Maybe it is QB camp. I don't know. But John Gruden interviewed Tyler Shough as well. And there was some cool shit that I liked in there. So I'm going to put that in as well. But point being is, the more and more that I hear him talk, the more and more that I just see how confident he is as a person, the more and more I like the kid. I do. I like him.
How long you actually been in New Orleans, like the city?
It's like 2.5 weeks. I went early to get acclimated and like try out some food spots.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you think about the food?
Dragos, Chop House, Steakhouse.
What do you think about it? Rate it.
Fire.
Fire? He said it was, when he first got to New Orleans, I asked him, he said it was
It's regular.
overrated.
Really?
Fans gave him shit.
I'm just saying, like, they're saying it's the best in America. I'm like, bro.
Dude, maybe that's why you're not on the team anymore.
No.
And I mean, I've said before that as much as I want Spencer Rattler to start, I would not be upset if Tyler Shough does, because let's be honest, it's kind of just inevitable. We're just waiting for Shough to be named the starter anyway. Do you do it from day one is the real question. You know what I mean? Now, I did hear that at the Manning Passing Academy, Tyler Shough got asked by, oh my God, I think it was Todd McShay. If it wasn't Todd McShay, I'm sorry that I botched that, but I believe it was Todd McShay. Tyler Shough was asked how he's getting along with Kellen Moore and being on the Saints and whatnot. And Tyler said that him and Kellen Moore have been having great talks, and that Kellen is catering the offense to Tyler's strengths. So here's the important part of that, and I'm going to clip this in too. Kellen Moore, on the day that everyone reported to training camp, was afterwards in his press conference, he was asked specifically about that question. Now, for reference, Ross Jackson on Locked On Saints said that we shouldn't be freaking out a little bit too much about the fact that Shough said these things about Kellen and catering the offense around him, because he's probably having these conversations with Spencer as well. According to Ross, which I agree with, it would be a little bit silly to not, just in case you do have to start Spencer. You would think that you would want an offense catered around him as well. So back to what I was saying, Kellen was asked about this, and he very much danced around the question. So let me play that.
This offseason about the offense sort of being built around or tailored to Tyler Shough. Are those conversations you're having with each of those three quarterbacks?
I think all these quarterbacks do a really good job. I think they all have the ability to make all the throws. I think they all have some element of athleticism that allows them to play off schedule and with their feet in the run game and the pass game. And so I think this will complement them all really, really well. And obviously, as you go, just like any position, we tailor stuff as we go. I think before the Chargers game, the main focus is really getting the foundation set, getting these guys experience, reps, all that sort of stuff from a schematic standpoint. And then we kind of shift gears coming out of the Chargers game to start heading towards the regular season and start making decisions that we have to make and starting to focus from a schematic standpoint what we want to be and some things that we want to navigate. And so we'll be able to utilize all this time to create that.
So what I gathered from Kellen's answer, quote answer, like I said, he danced around it like a politician. Good for him. That was A+, Kellen. That's how you answer without actually answering. What I gathered is that he's having these conversations with Shough, and if Rattler and air quote Haener, I don't think Haener is actually a part of this, but I think Kellen likes Jake Haener as a person, and he probably will end up being that third QB, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Kellen is basically saying, without saying it, I am catering this offense to Shough. That is my guy. But I think Spencer's skill set also fits this offense. If Kellen was actually straight up having these conversations with Rattler, he would have said, oh, absolutely, I am also having these conversations with Rattler. That is what I've gathered from it. I could be wrong. I just think that is what's happening. I think he is absolutely, which he should be if this is his guy, catering his offense to Shough's strengths, right? And then just kind of fitting Rattler in there if necessary. I still think, no matter what, we will see both quarterbacks at some point this season. My guess is you could start the season with Rattler, and I've said this before, to get to, unfortunately, I hate this for him, but to get through the first 4 games, because they are pretty rough. You got Arizona at home, San Francisco at home. You travel out to Seattle, and then all the way across to the other coast to Buffalo. I don't know if you throw Shough into that, but I do see the other side of it, because if you just go ahead and start with Shough, here's the issue. Let's say you do go ahead and start with Shough. because you want him to get those reps. You want him to get those valuable reps. And if he gets through these first 4 games as the starter, then usually you would think like, well, now he has seen just about everything. Not literally, but in the sense of Arizona is going to have an opportunistic defense. San Francisco has Robert Saleh back. Obviously, they're going to have a decent defense. I think Seattle is overrated, but whatever. They have good DBs, I guess. And then Buffalo. Buffalo has a great defense. Sean McDermott is a defensive coach. So if Shough gets through that without completely crumbling, then you know what you got in the sense of the schedule just gets easier, right? But the issue is if he does crumble in those first 4 games, how long of a leash are you giving him? Because if you just pull him and then start Rattler after that, you're messing with his confidence. That's why this is a really, really tricky situation. It's not like throwing Rattler out there is like this, oh, well, we're just going to let the vet go ahead and handle it, because Spencer is not a vet. He does have more experience, but he is not a Jacoby Brissett. He is not a fucking Tyler Huntley. I don't know. That's what came to my mind. But you get my point. He's not a Russell Wilson. He's not a Jameis Winston. He's not. So you don't necessarily have that, like, if the guys in your locker room, like, let's say Shough wins the job very clearly, and the guys in your locker room are coming to you as a coach and saying, yo, why are you starting Spencer if Shough gives us the best opportunity to win? You can't realistically go to those guys, especially vets like Cam Jordan, and being like, well, I just want to make sure that we set up Shough for the best success. Because he's going to be like, I want to make sure the team is set up for best success. You know what I'm saying? It's a fucking conundrum. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a very hard decision for Kellen to make. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why this Shough pick actually has to work out, in my opinion. With the main one that I want to talk about, the first one that I want to talk about, the reason that it needs to work out, other than obviously meaning your team would be good, if Shough doesn't work out, and this is some people are weird. Some people are really weird and like they're preying on his downfall. Like, we really need Arch Manning. We really need Lenore Sellers. We need this other quarterback. We need Garrett Nussmeier. Fuck Shough. Like, that's a weird thing to do. Shough is already on the team. You have to want him to succeed. He has already been the player that this team and coaching staff has invested in at this point. He's on the team, okay? You need to want him to succeed, and let me tell you why. If he doesn't, and everyone's like, oh, bet, it doesn't matter, like we get a top 5 pick. Fuck all that. Listen to me. If it doesn't work out, you are then looking at Kellen Moore as not knowing how to evaluate the quarterback position, not understanding how to actually draft a quarterback, right? You can't have a Ron Rivera where all he did was draft Cam Newton because that was the obvious pick. As far as Ron Rivera is very clearly a terrible drafter. Terrible at evaluating talent. He drafted Cam Newton and Luke Kuechly and Christian McCaffrey. And yeah, y'all are probably like, yo, those are fucking slam dunks. Those were the obvious picks. Okay? Look what he did in Washington. Look what he did. He didn't draft a single first-round pick that actually, like, contributed. Go ask any Commanders fan and ask them the last time that they had a first-round pick other than Jaden Daniels, who, by the way, Dan Quinn, but anyway, other than Jaden Daniels, the last time they had a first-round pick that actually panned out. And everybody wants to talk shit about the Saints and how they draft and shit. When's the last time the Saints had a first-round pick that panned out? Taliesin Fuaga. And then before that, what would you say? Chris Olave. They're good at drafting in the first round. Okay? Some teams are not. But point being is you don't want Kellen to have this. He is a new coach, and you want his first pick, quarterback-wise, you want that to work out because you want him to have the confidence and not have the brand of not understanding how to evaluate quarterback talent. Okay? That's my point. that is one of the reasons why Shough needs to work out, because he was Kellen's investment. He is who Kellen wanted. Hypothetically speaking, if Kellen wanted, like absolutely wanted Jackson Dart, the Saints could have traded up and drafted him. If he absolutely wanted Cam Ward, which, by the way, again, I heard that the Saints were trying to trade up to get Cam Ward, which makes me feel good. But you would have paid the King's ransom, right? You would have done it. Unless the Titans were just like gung-ho, which, definitely possible. But you want Kellen Moore to have the label of understanding how to evaluate quarterback talent and draft quarterback talent. And that is all wrapped up into Tyler Shough right now. The other reason that you need this to work out, you don't want to go into the next draft knowing that you have needs at probably corner and defensive end that you need to spend a premium pick on, right? You don't want to go into that next draft also having are they going to draft the quarterback? You don't want that. We need to actually focus on other positions now, right? Tyler Shough has already been picked. It needs to work out so that we're not having, like I said, we're not having these fucking, it's hard to explain because I don't mean a waste of a pick when I say like drafting another quarterback. It's just like you're just constantly dipping at the position and you just want Shough to work out so that you can stop dipping at the position. You have Shough, you have Rattler as your backup, and I guess you have Jake Haener as your third string, right? That's what you want. So, hypothetically speaking, though, if Shough does not work out, Spencer Rattler can still bail this coaching staff out. And by coaching staff, I mainly just mean Kellen Moore. Because while Kellen Moore did not draft Spencer Rattler, he's already on the roster and he could easily just go to him, you know what I mean? And say, well, this is my guy anyway. Not he could admit that he was wrong about Shough in the sense of like he's just not ready. But if Spencer Rattler is good, then it's already built in. Like it's not like you have to spend anything else to get a starting quarterback. You know what I'm saying? And it could bail Kellen Moore out because someone could be like, well, I mean, he was wrong about the Shough pick. He doesn't really know how to evaluate quarterback talent, but he knows how to utilize what a quarterback is good at. Do you get what I'm saying? So if Shough doesn't work out, like I said, hypothetically speaking, Rattler can absolutely bail this team out. And I think no matter what, I think Spencer Rattler is NFL talent. I think he can be a solid NFL quarterback. Right? It's just he got drafted by the last coaching staff, you know what I mean? And he is now on a team with a new coaching staff who has drafted their guy. And we'll see how it plays out. We will. Like I said, I still think that you see both quarterbacks this year. I do. I would almost guarantee that you see both. But let's go ahead and talk about Tyler Shough's stats from college and explain why he was so old coming into this draft, because that's what everybody wants to give him shit for, but nobody wants to talk about the fact that Michael Penix is the same fucking age as him. No one gives Penix shit for being old, but whatever. So we'll talk about that. Let's do that.
Big shoes to fill. Looks like the Saints are looking for a long-term solution at quarterback. What makes you think you can be that guy?
I think it's because of my journey, who I am and what I've done in my career, how I've kind of stuck through it. I kind of bring that to the table every single day. I feel like I come in with a little bit of an intensity, going out there and ripping it, trying to spread the ball down the field, be very multiple on offense.
All right, so as some of y'all know, Tyler Shough, 3 different colleges while he was in college. He started out in 2019 at Oregon, being Justin Herbert's backup. So he only played in, I want to say like 1 game. He only played 1 game that year. He was 12 for 15, 144 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 picks. In 2020, he played for Oregon, and he was 106 for 167 attempts, 63.5 completion percentage, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 picks. Not a bad rating. He also ran for 271 yards. But in the John Gruden camp, he was saying that at Oregon, he really didn't get keys to the offense. Like, they were just running a bunch of RPO and not really letting him make any sort of decisions or anything. But he clearly didn't play all 12 games as well that year. So then we go to 2021. He transfers to Texas Tech, right? 64 for 92, 69.6 completion percentage, 872 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. He also ran for 14 yards and 2 touchdowns. But in 2021, he broke his left collarbone, okay? That one did not require surgery, but it took him out for the year. I'm not entirely sure how many games he played, but he obviously got to get another year of eligibility because of that. And you have to keep in mind also, any player that was in the NCAA while COVID happened was granted another year of eligibility. So on top of that injury, he already had the COVID one in his back pocket, right? So then we move on to 2022. Played for Texas Tech again. 177 attempts, 106 completions, a 59% completion percentage, but 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. He also ran 72 times for 269 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, in 2022, broke his collarbone. Same collarbone. I know that shit fucking hurts. But, point being, he didn't break it. He re-injured it. And it required surgery, but he did come back and play later in that season. Matter of fact, he played against Ole Miss in whatever bowl game it was that year, and he actually ran for like over 100 yards on them. It was crazy. Then we go to 2023. Texas Tech again. 111 attempts, 67 completions, 60% completion percentage, 746 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. He ran for 149 yards and 2 touchdowns. What happened that season? He broke his left fibula. Insane. Okay? I will get to my point. Then he transferred to Louisville for his final college season. And this season right here is what got him drafted. He was in a very NFL-esque offense at Louisville. Jeff Brom was a NFL quarterback. He was a NFL coach. He runs a very pro-style offense. And Tyler Shough didn't even have the weak-ass, like, ready cadence. You know what I mean? He actually had a cadence. That is important.
I think for me, it's that arm quickness, the ability to get it out at different arm angles, stretch it down the field, be able to attack any coverage. And I think the biggest thing that I've been able to kind of cultivate is that mental sharpness, is getting into it pre-snap wise, trying to get into the best look. I was in 5-6 different offenses in college, so was asked to do a lot from, at first not very much, a lot of RPOs, you're kind of running what you run, and then I think my last couple of years at Tech and at Louisville got the keys to the car a little bit more, and it helped me out. And still got a lot to learn, and brand new offense for everybody with Coach Kellen. So I'm fired up to continue to learn it, try and master it, and go earn it.
It's one of the reasons why a lot of scouts and whatnot said that he was the most pro-ready out of any quarterback in this entire draft class, right? At Louisville, for his last year, 389 attempts, 244 completions. That's good for 62%. 3,100 yards, 23 touchdowns to 6 picks. He only took 14 sacks. And rushing-wise, he had 42 carries. 19 yards and 1 touchdown. See, here's the thing, though. College, I don't know why they do this, but they penalize players for getting sacked. Like it goes against their rushing yards. And he had a terrible, terrible O-line. And you're like, well, he only had 14 sacks. Yeah, but he threw the ball. He threw the ball away a lot. And this is like, I will talk about it. He is not a perfect prospect by any means. But yeah, so 2024, he did not get injured. He actually played all 12 games that year. So that's good. I mean, here's the thing about his injuries that some people need to realize, right? Let's use the Atlanta Falcons for an example. Michael Penix was also plagued with injuries in college, right? He also transferred, right? Here's the difference. Tyler Shough broke his left collarbone. He then broke his left fibula. That's bone breaks. Those are not soft tissue injuries, okay? Michael Penix tore his ACL. I want to say in both knees. I could be wrong, but maybe just one. It happened more than once. Point being is, when it is a bone break, you almost consider it just unlucky, right? Like, y'all saw Paulson Adebo break his leg this past year. Completely unlucky, right? He's not labeled injury prone. When it is a soft tissue injury, when you're constantly tearing your ACL, it's reoccurring because it's hard to repair that. It's hard for that to repair itself. It's hard to surgically repair it. It'll never be the same because it's soft tissue, and not only that, but it's in your fucking knee. And when you play football, your knees are probably the most important thing on you. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to running, cutting, jumping, all that. That is what your ACL is for. Tyler Shough, is right-handed. So breaking his left collarbone and left fibula has nothing to do with him throwing the ball. When he is throwing, he's planting on his right foot, okay? So even if his leg was tender, and don't get me wrong, it does sort of affect your drop back, but even if it was a little tender, which it's not anymore because that was like 2 or 3 years ago, you're planting on your right foot, okay? That's one of the reasons why I say that Aaron Rodgers is like cooked, and people don't want to believe me because he had like one 400-yard game last year. Him and Kirk Cousins both are cooked because they tore their Achilles on their plant foot. Go watch Kirk Cousins' tape. He is a statue back there. Go watch Aaron Rodgers' tape. He is constantly throwing, like while fading away. He doesn't step into it anymore because they cannot. Tyler Shough's injuries are freak injuries. They're not something that can just be reoccurring. And we need to talk about the fact that takes a lot of getting through adversity, getting over it, getting through it, like I said. There's probably times where Tyler Shough was sitting there like, dude, why does this keep happening to me? Should I just give up? But he didn't. He fought through it. And he came out on the other side. He's a second-round draft pick by the New Orleans Saints. He's probably going to be the starting quarterback. That shows mental toughness. It shows resilience. There is a reason Kellen Moore liked him the most out of any quarterback that he could have drafted. I'm assuming other than Cam Ward because they did try and trade up for him. But point being, out of any quarterback other than Cam Ward, he liked Tyler Shough the most because he had adversity that he gotten over. In the St. Brown podcast, Tyler Shough even said, he's like, dude, I've been a backup. I've been injured, like carted off the field. I've been an MVP of a team. I've been through it all. I know the lows. I know the highs. And while the NFL is different, it helps to have been through it, right? And this is not to take away from Spencer Rattler. Rattler has been through adversity too. He got his job taken away from him for reasons that we can get into at a different time. But point being, these quarterbacks are like, they're fighting for their life in this camp. And that is one of the things I want to talk about. We will get to the camp battles, but I had to talk about Tyler Shough because as y'all know, I love Spencer Rattler, and I had been talking about him for multiple episodes. But that's not to say that Shough can't win this job, and if he does win this job, then I would be upset. I am growing more and more to actually really like Tyler Shough. So, A, he wears number 6. That's my wife's favorite number. Just throwing that out there. And B, my wife has this sort of, she listens to her gut a lot, and her gut is telling her that Shough is going to be really good. And until proven otherwise, I'm just going to have to believe her because I really don't want to sleep on the couch. I'm just kidding, but I can see the tools are there. The tools are absolutely there. He can throw. He can make these sidearm throws. Like he loves rolling out and throwing. He's accurate with that. That's important. He in college, if you go watch the Boot Crew Media YouTube channel, they just did a video on Shough in college. He knows how to make reads on defenses. Now that's not like crazy by any means. A lot of quarterbacks do, but hypothetically speaking, or sorry, not hypothetically, but for example, like a lot of people shit on Jackson Dart because he was in a RPO based offense in college, which means that there's really not too much thinking involved. You're just kind of hike. Is the defensive end crashing? Yes. Okay, I'm throwing it. Is the defensive end crashing? Yes. Okay, I'm taking off with it. Is the defensive end crashing? No, I'm handing the ball off. That's kind of it. It's set up. Lane Kiffin is a fantastic coach, and he set up Jackson Dart for success in the sense of he didn't really have to make too many reads. Like he would scheme receivers open, and all good coaches can do that. And I'm sure Kellen Moore will do that for Shough. But point being is, Shough was having to make reads. He was in a pro-style offense. But he also experienced the RPO offenses of Oregon, the air raid offense of Texas Tech. So he's seen it all. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I like Shough. I do. And I hope it works out. Especially because I'm tired of hearing this Arch Manning bullshit. Like, is Arch going to be good? Probably, but he might not even come out next year, for one. But two, like, focus on who we have. Okay? So that's why I wanted to talk about Shough, because I'm always talking about Rattler, but Shough deserves some shine too. So I wanted to talk about him. And like I said, he's probably going to be your starter anyway. So this is me saying I hope it works out, and genuinely I wouldn't be surprised if it does work out. He's athletic, he's big, he's accurate, he has a huge arm. Let's see if it works out, Shough. All right, but training camp started. We made it. Like I said, we fucking made it. Training camp has started. So here are a couple battles that I am interested in. Now, obviously, the quarterback battle is top priority, right? Number one, that got rated a top 10 training camp battle like in the NFL by a beat writer, just in general. For obvious reasons, it is to determine who's going to be the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. So that's obviously number one, is the quarterback battle. But what some people don't realize is also so you would think, right, let's just say Tyler Shough, so then Spencer Rattler is slotted in as the backup, right? But what people aren't talking about is Jake Haener versus Hunter Dekkers for that third spot, right? Do you go with Jake Haener, who has been in this organization? People like him. He's a likable guy. He's not good, but a lot of people have said that they see a future in coaching with him, right? So is he the kind of guy that you want to keep on the roster for clipboard holding purposes, right? To help, as players come in, translate what this offense is, right? And kind of just being Kellen Moore's right-hand man, but from a player aspect, not like Doug Nussmeier, from a player aspect, right? Do you keep him, or do you go with this young, up-and-coming, very talented Hunter Dekkers who could, let's just say, worst comes to worst. Well, it would probably be good for him, but let's say Rattler doesn't win the job. eventually his contract runs out and he wants to go to a team where you have an opportunity to start. You could then have Deckers be your backup if he develops into that, is my point, right? What do you go with? What would y'all do? Let me know in the comments. What would y'all do? Would you rather have a clipboard guy who is probably never ever going to do anything on the field that would be of any merit? Or would you rather go with the upside of someone that is actually really talented? What would you do? You know what I mean? What would you do? So there's that battle. I'm obviously very interested in the running back 2 battle. Alvin Kamara has the starting running back locked up. That's not even a question. So I'm more so talking about this is probably the deepest battle that we have. It's between Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, Marcus Yarns, Velus Jones. There is 6 players all trying to be the running back 2. Kendre is probably the leading candidate, right? Devin Neal being after him. Like, if I had to rank it, I would say Kendre, Devin Neal, probably Cam Akers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Marcus Yarns, Velus Jones. I think Velus Jones will be fun to watch in preseason. First of all, I want to clarify. All of these battles that I'm talking about is why the Saints in the preseason are a team that you should honestly bet on. This is a team that has a lot of battles going on where people are trying to make the team and prove that they can be a piece on the team, right? So while other teams are out there with solidified starters, and I trust me, I understand that every team has players that are trying to make the roster and whatnot. I'm just saying the Saints are one of the teams that like people are playing for their NFL career. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire does not make this roster, do you think a team might sign him, but like as like the running back 3 or 4? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, point being is, like, watch the running backs in this preseason coming up. Like, watch them. They are going to be running for their lives, and it's going to be so fun to watch. But running back 2, if I had to guess, I would say Kendre Miller and then Devin Neal. And I don't know if you're going to keep a 4th. If you're keeping a 4th, probably Cam Akers. I think Cam Akers is a little bit slept on. He's very good at pass protection, and he's only 25, right? He doesn't really have too much tread on the tires. Like, I think Akers is a little bit of a sleeper to make this roster. So that's another battle for running back 2. Obviously, then like wrapped into running back 3 as well. But then we got wide receiver 4. So obviously, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Brandon Cooks are your top 3 receivers. That's going to be the case the entire season, and we pray for their health. Let's all take a moment to pray for their health, because I might cry if any of them miss like a significant amount of time again. I can't fucking handle it. I'm over it. So those are your top 3 locked in, right? But who's your wide receiver 4? Is it Cedric Wilson, the slot specialist, which he probably will be? Is it Bub Means, the up-and-comer? Is it Donovan Peoples-Jones, the success story, the comeback story, the only one that could probably actually be your big body guy? I don't really see anything from Mason Tipton. He's literally the exact same receiver as Olave and Shaheed. I don't know, but I could be wrong. Is it Kevin Austin Jr.? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to sign Keenan Allen? Are they going to sign Amari Cooper? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, this wide receiver 4 battle is another underrated one, in my opinion. If I had to guess, like I said, it'd probably be Cedric Wilson, because he is your only legit slot specialist. Believe it or not, Brandon Cooks actually plays X more than anything. And then after Cedric Wilson, I would assume they're going to keep Bub Means, because Keith Williams loves Bub Means. And that's fine. Like, that's good. He showed promise. He just needs to stay healthy. And then, if you keep a 6th, See, I didn't even mention Dante Pettis. That's the fucked up part. For special teams purposes, do you keep Dante Pettis or do you go with another big body guy in Donovan Peoples-Jones? I'm telling you, man, wide receiver 4 through possibly 6, that's a fucking battle, dude. Those are other ones that you're going to want to watch in the preseason, especially because you know what you have in the top 3, so they're probably not going to play much, right? You want to keep them safe. And Kellen Moore has already shown throughout training camp that he is all about player safety and keeping players out of harm's way while it's unnecessary to put them in it. So realistically, if you only see one drive of only one drive in the entire preseason of Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, do not be surprised. Do not. Because I wouldn't. That's probably how it's going to go. And then we have the battle left guard, which is it's only between Dylan Radins and Trevor Penning. I've heard Torricelli Simpkins possibly, but my guess is Penning wins that battle. He's the one with the most upside, at least. Then you have the edge rusher after Cam Jordan. So, like, you have Chase Young, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan. Who's the fourth? Laundry list of names there. Absolute laundry list. My guess is, does Isaiah Foskey pan out? Does he actually show something in this new defense that's more built to his skill set? Why can't I think of the motherfucker's name? Oh, is it your 7th round draft pick, Fidel Diggs? Does he show something? Is it Tyreen Powell? Because he is a bit of a tweener. He is a linebacker, but he's also he got a lot of sack and tackle for loss production in college. So is it Tyreen Powell? Is it Jasheen Davis, who is built for this defense? He ran it in college. Is it Chris Rumpf, who has ran this defense literally with Brandon Staley in the past? So that's another battle to look at. Obviously, interior is just... I don't know if that's a battle. It's sort of just like the players that you have. You know what I mean? Corner, obviously. Alontae Taylor, Kool-Aid, Yadam, locked in. Quincy Riley is locked in, obviously. He was their draft pick. He is their investment. But I'm saying, does he start? Because in base sets, you're going to have base, meaning only 2 corners with, it'd be a 3-4, so 4 linebackers, 2 corners. You're going to have Alontae, Kool-Aid McKinstry, right? But when you move to nickel sets, which takes off a linebacker and brings on a corner, Alontae is going to move to the inside because he is great at that. That's what he is. I love when he plays nickel. He is a fantastic nickel corner. Okay? When that happens, you then open up a spot on the outside that someone needs to, quote, start at, right? So is that Ike Yadam, who has already played for this team in the past? He had like a breakout season in 2023 for the Saints, where he was at least top 7 in pass deflections in the entire NFL. But was that just a Dennis Allen thing, or was that did he show out? Because when he went to San Francisco the next year, he didn't have as good of a season. But he's back, so we'll see. Maybe he just likes being in New Orleans. That's a thing. You know what I mean? Is it Quincy Riley, your 4th round draft pick, who led out of this entire draft class, led all the corners in interceptions and pass deflections? He has said that he likes playing nickel because he likes being a part of the play, so he's very willing to tackle. He's probably not going to play nickel, you know what I'm saying? That I'm talking about for the outside spot, but I like him to start. I do. I like him to start this season. Maybe not right away. We'll see. I think he is absolutely more talented than Ike Yadam, but does he start right away? Maybe not. However, I do think he does end up locking down that other spot by the end of the season. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is poised to break the fuck out this year. Just watch. He is going to be strapping dudes, okay? So you have that. And then obviously behind those four, you have a battle of Rajon Wright, Rico Payton. They signed a dude from the UFL, and I'm sorry that I don't know his name. I don't think he's going to make the roster. But, and then Dallas Beanham, who's an undrafted free agent. Then you have, now that Tyrann Mathieu is gone, now you have a new battle at safety. Justin Reed, Jonas Sanker, Jordan Howden probably locked in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they, Reed obviously, but Jonas Sanker and Howden, they might not start right away. If I had to guess, probably Howden, maybe Sanker. Dude, I like Jonas Sanker a lot. I think he's probably one of my favorite draft picks that we had. So that you signed Julian Blackmon. You have Ugo Amadi, who is very versatile. He can help you at slot corner as well, and the same with Terrell Burgess. There is the whole DB room as an entirety. Like, that's a battle. It is. So yeah, those are a couple good battles. I mean, obviously the kicking battle of Blake Grupe versus Charlie Smith. I've heard interesting takes on it. Blake Grupe is really, really, really solid kicker. He's probably top 15, if not top 10. I like Blake Grupe a lot. But here's the thing. Charlie Smith has a generational type leg. Like, he is booting 70-yard field goals. And here's the way you need to look at it. In the NFL, you're probably not going to take 60-yard field goals all the time, right? You're mainly doing anywhere from 30 to 50 yards. A little bit more than 50, but you get my point, right? Blake Grupe has been mayon, young moolah baby from that area, the 30 to 50 and 50 plus as well. I mean, like, great from that area. But if Charlie can learn to get accurate at that, you would think that he ends up winning the job, because just in case, you do know that he can absolutely boot that bitch, right? Just saying, it's actually a lot more interesting than people might think. Plus, Charlie, you just get to keep on the roster anyways, one of your international players. So even if he doesn't win it this year, Grupe's contract is up. You might just end up handing the reins off to Smith, and that's definitely possible. Kicker is one of the easily most replaced. Not like it's easy to replace them, but in the sense of, like, there's a revolving door of kickers, right? Punter is interesting. I think Matthew Hayball sucks. So, Burnip, come on in, man. Come on in. Win that punter job, baby. So yeah, those are all the training camp battles. I probably listed like 10, but it's what it is. It's the way that the Saints camp is going to be this year. It's fucking exciting, and it's good. We're turning a new chapter finally. All right, in my final segment, real quick, I just wanted to throw this in here. One of the main reasons, like I was saying, that Tyler Shough needs to work out is because you need to focus on drafting different positions, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, stop dipping into the quarterback well. Like, we actually have to start drafting other positions so that this team can get better. So, corner, possibly, but my thought is you're going to draft the defensive end next year, an edge rusher. Cam Jordan's going to retire. Is Chase Young going to reach his potential? Is Carl Granderson going to reach his potential? You just don't have hella depth. Like, is Isaiah Foskey actually going to be something? I just think you need to, like, I just saw the craziest text come up on my iPad. My friend Tyler just asked if birth smells. Oh my God. Kinda. It does have a smell. Birth does have a smell. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, Tyler, I really hope you see this, bro. That just made my day. Anyway, the Saints need to draft the edge rusher. I hope it's Tyrann Perkins out of Ole Miss because I'm an Ole Miss fan, but, dude, he is a dog. I don't know what classification Dylan Stewart is, but he's going to be an absolute menace in the NFL. Then there's the Clemson defensive end. Point being, Saints they need to draft an edge rusher, and that's why Tyler Shough also needs to work out. So, I really appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Like I said, please like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're not, when you're on Apple Pods, give me that 5-star rating. Make sure you're downloading the episodes instead of just streaming them. All these things go a long way, and I'm going to try and get back into more of the consistent putting out episodes, because we're back, baby. We're back. It's football season, man. All right. Who dat, y'all? Love you.